Welcome to a very special episode of the Home and Away podcast. It's the opening day special, and for this podcast, we are joined by Grant Geppert. Grant, how are you doing today, man?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. We appreciate you coming on to join us.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I've always wanted to be on a podcast. This is really cool. This is a really exciting moment for me, and we get to talk baseball. So it doesn't get any better than that for me.
Well, when you brought up some ideas to me, I was like, man, this man has a good idea, so I got to bring him on to execute it. Whenever you brought up the whole thought of making a draft of players and stuff like that, I was like, man, that's a great idea. So honestly, we had to have you on, and you're one of the guys that I know that knows the most about baseball. To me, at least, I respect your opinion a lot. So I'm excited to see who you take and stuff, and what your team looks like at the end of this. And so I guess as I kind of let the cat out of the bag already, today what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back in time, and we're gonna look at the all-time best players, and we're gonna do a little draft. So it's already been decided. I get the first pick. Grant has the second pick. Caleb has the third pick, and we're going to snake it. So they'll come back, Caleb will have the first, second, and I'll have the third in the second round, and so on and so forth. But we're going to draft our all-time greatest baseball team, and it's going to be a fun one. I can't wait to see who you guys pick. I've been working on my big board for a couple of days here, and
yeah, me too. I got 50 names on my board ready to go.
Hey, I gotta tell you, I told Kav on the way here, I may have worked on my big board a little bit at work over the last week, and I may have left all the work on my work computer. So we're going a little bit off the top. I still have some of it, but not as much as I would like to have. But I think it's important before we get started, right? I want to give Grant a little bit of time to brag on himself a little bit. For anyone who doesn't know, as our listener, this is a state champion right here, Highland Bulldogs state champ, college baseball player. Grant, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I played baseball, t-ball all the way through college, and yeah, like you said, my senior year of high school, that was kind of the big year. We won state, like you just said. We should not have been there at all. I would say we should have won the regional championship. It was CM and I believe Jerseyville. I think those teams had like the same amount of talent as us, and I think we should have won that one. But sectionals, super sectionals, state, every single team that we played had way more talent than us, and that's what made it really cool. It's like our group of guys just like banded together and came together at the right time. It was the biggest roller coaster of a season I've ever been a part of, but when you come out on top, it doesn't matter. But yeah, that was really fun. I actually had the walk-off base hit to win state. So
it's amazing.
It's awesome.
Amazing.
I think with baseball, like you said, though, it's such like a streaky game, and like if people get hot, they're just hot. So like if you guys got hot at the right moment, anything can happen. And we talked to when we had Jeff Hartley on here a little bit. I think we talked shortly about Highland baseball, and like the program they have over there is pretty good too. So it's respectable, and I guess you're kind of like a Highland legend now, man.
No
I'm kind of like a Highland myth. I just come into high school, play baseball there for 4 years, win state senior year, and then I'm out of there. I'm out of town. And I feel like I'm kind of really far out of the Highland loop, but yeah, I guess you could say I'm a Highland legend. I'm probably more of a Highland myth though.
You guys are ready. I think we can get into drafting. What do you think?
Good, man. I think
it's
about that time, I think.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
I'm first, right? I've got first pick, correct?
Yes, sir.
Me and you were just talking about who my first pick was going to be, and I wouldn't give it up to you.
Right.
And I think it might surprise you guys, but maybe not. But with my first pick in the draft, I'm gonna go with Hammer and Hank Aaron. That's the number one pick of the draft.
Okay.
755.
one of the greatest all-time home run hitters. Just a great player in general. And I think the thing that really sticks out to me is like his consistency in his career, you know? So I'm going to pick him first. I think I'm going to put him over in, I guess he was a corner outfielder. I'll put him out in left. I'll put him in left field. That's where I'm going to put Hank. So we can mark him down for left field. And that moves on to Grant then. Grant, who's your first pick? Who are you going to take?
My first pick, what can I say about this guy? He's just the greatest baseball player of all time. He has the record for walks, intentional walks. And this stat right here doesn't get talked about enough. He is the only member of the 400-400 club, and he's the only member of the 500-500 club. Most all-time home runs, greatest baseball player of all time, in left field from the San Francisco Giants and Pittsburgh Pirates, Barry Bonds.
I knew you were going there.
In the least surprising pick of all time.
Hey, I'll say this. No matter how much the steroids, made him stronger, whatever, he could hit a couple more home runs, man, you still have to be able to hit that ball. And he still had a ton of talent. He still probably is the best, most skilled baseball player of all time. And he should be a Hall of Famer, I think. No, in my opinion, he should be in the Hall of Fame.
And I think very arguably he could have been argument for the best baseball player of all time if he hadn't done steroids. Because you look at skinny Barry Bonds playing for the Pirates, that dude was different, right?
And he was still very good. He still I think if he never would have taken steroids, he would have had he would have been like Ken Griffey Jr. Not to give you guys any ideas, but better.
Yeah.
But better.
Yeah.
He had that Ken Griffey Jr. baseball body. I think if he wouldn't have been on steroids, I still think he would have hit over 700 home runs.
And he was already like a 30-30 guy, right? Like 30 stolen base, 30 home run guy kind of before he even took a steroid. Like, dude.
Yeah, like I said, he was the only guy. He's the only guy in the 400-400 club and the 500-500 club that's stolen bases and home runs. The next best guy is 300-300.
That's crazy.
That doesn't get talked about enough.
Moving over to Caleb, who you got?
Man, number one pick, number one in my heart, at shortstop, representing the Texas Rangers and the Seattle Mariners, Alex Rodriguez.
A-Rod is your number one pick, huh?
Number one pick, always.
So, we got A-Royd out of the way, and we got Barry Bonds, the biggest steroider known to man, out of the way.
Very smart pick.
Right? So,
those are both good picks, though. I can't
A-Rod's the other one. Like, A-Rod on the Seattle Mariners wasn't steroid neither, and he was the best player in the league almost. So, hey, respect, game, recognized game, So we're going to rock with him. And then might as well get the next pick out of the way. Grant already mentioned him anyway. So center field, representing the Seattle Mariners, Ken Griffey Jr.
Easy now. He's not that good.
He's good.
Yeah.
Come on.
He's second pick good?
Hot take right here. I don't think Ken Griffey Jr.'s swing is all that good.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it.
All right, that's a discussion for another time, though.
Stop
for my
it.
second pick for the St. Louis Cardinals and Los Angeles Angels, Albert Pujols.
I respect it. He playing first base?
Oh, yeah, he's playing first base.
I saw actually a graphic about him and Mike Trout the age he's at right now compared to like the age that Pujols was at or something like that, or the same number of games played, and he had like a better OPS, better average, more home runs. And I was like, dude, that guy was really like on pace to be the greatest ever, just kind of like Mike Trout is. I mean, obviously we all know what happened when he left the Cardinals. He had quite a bit of a fall off, it seemed like, whenever he went to the Angels. But
yeah, it's crazy. We seem to forget how good he was, man. Like, yeah, we're like talking about Trout being one of the top three, maybe even the best player of all time. You look at Pujols' first 10 years, they were even better than Trout. Like, it's unbelievable how good he was.
Before you guys come in my Griffey pick, some of my picks have to do with who I would enjoy to watch play. there ain't nobody getting more joy out of a baseball field than Ken Griffey Jr. So that plays a role in my number 2 pick. I just need you to know that.
That's fair enough, brother. That is fair enough. Well, I guess it's back around to me, right?
Yes, sir.
Back to me, and I got back-to-back picks then, huh?
Yep.
I get 2 picks in a row. All right. So I'm gonna do this. With my second pick, I'm gonna go ahead and pick up somebody that I thought would be gone by now. I'm gonna pick up Willie Mays. Another
Okay.
guy that could do it all, do literally everything. Could play the field, could hit for power, hit for average, could run the bases, literally do it all. And then for my third pick, I'm going to pick another guy we just mentioned. I'm going to go with Mike Trout. So I'm going to round out my outfield. My outfield is going to be Hank Aaron in left. I'm going to put Trout in center, and I'm going to put Willie in right field. And that's how I'm going to run. That's my outfield. So my outfield's done. And I know with the Trout pick, it's a bit of projecting, because I mean, like, he doesn't have the overall like numbers, like the 500 home run club, type numbers, but he'll get there eventually. And he's been one of the youngest guys to hit. He was the youngest guy to hit however many home runs last season or something. So I don't know, man. I think to me, like we just said, he's gonna probably go down as one of those top 5, top 10 greatest players ever by the time he's all said and done. And it's awesome to be able to watch him do that right now. So, Grant, who do you got?
Let's see. I have 1 pick here. I am actually going to go ahead and get my DH out of the way. And he has 555 home runs on his career. And I'm going to pick Manny Ramirez.
Ooh.
Manny Ramirez as your third pick? Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
He's got the 3rd all-time in grand slams, also a very clutch hitter. That was kind of a big thing when considering this list here. He was a fun guy to watch play.
Hey, I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about the pick one bit.
Yeah, I ain't mad at you. For me, we're gonna move to third base. Representing the Kansas City Royals, and we're gonna take George Brett at third base.
Pine Tar Gate.
Early? Okay. All right.
Bro, why you hating on
rule possibly?
Why you hating on every single pick I have,
baseball?
I'm hating on every time I make a pick.
Listeners...
Every time I make a pick, cops say, "Okay, this early."
That's a bit early for Mr. George Brett. It's a bit early to not even pick the best third baseman of all time.
It's hey, how about this? It's my team. I'm building it the way I'd like to.
All right, I got you, man.
Speaking of which, my next pick out in right field is a San Diego Padre, one young Tony Gwynn.
Oh, you're killing me.
I was gonna pick him up, but then I went Trout instead.
He was gonna be my next guy, I think.
Oh,
solid pick.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Hell
sir.
of a pick. Grant, who are you going with now?
I am going to. This guy is going to be in right field, representing the Yankees, the Marlins, and the Seattle Mariners. I'm taking Ichiro in right field.
Oh, I love that.
I love that pick too. That's a hell of an outfit. That's our childhood in your outfield so far. With Barry Bonds and Ichiro out there. I think every single kid. Let's say this about Ichiro. He might not be the best baseball player of all time, but he's probably the most emulated at bat wiffle ball, like tug the shoulder.
Yeah.
Like whenever we were kids, everybody used to do that shit, like just messing around.
Yeah,
playing
and then
you
do that big leg kick and you start running to first base.
Yeah,
even swung the
slap
bat.
hit it.
Oh yeah. Yep.
He's definitely the number one wiffle ball emulated
Yeah.
swing. That's for
And
sure.
I believe
That's one
Ichiro
thing that he
is,
definitely has.
I believe he's second all time in hits, right?
Is he
I
really?
believe so. I mean,
I
he's.
think he is.
I know that at least when you I believe if you combine the overseas, the Japanese league and the MLB, he's like far and away the top.
Yes,
But
he is.
Yeah.
it sounds correct that he would be second in the MLB.
Speaking of that, though, I was actually at a Cardinals game like years ago, like Ichiro's last season or something, and they were playing against the Marlins whenever he was on the Marlins, and he comes up and there was like a Japanese like fan in the crowd, and like they had a sign and shit, and I didn't know what it was, but they were like going crazy every time he came up, and he got a hit, and I don't know if it was like his combined total hits or something like from the MLB and from Japan that like he passed like Pete Rose, or if it was something else. Like I don't know what it was, but they were going insane, and like it was some like monumental moment, and I had no idea what it was. I wish I would have known because I could have been like, oh, I was there for that, but
Yeah.
I remember that.
I've actually
That's
seen Ichiro hit a leadoff home run at Busch Stadium one time. I saw the Mariners come to town one day, and Ichiro actually can't remember who it was off of, but he hit a home run probably a few rows back. It was a pretty cool moment.
That's amazing.
just surprising coming from Ichiro,
Yeah.
hitting dingers. But
Bob, you got back to
all
back.
right,
Who you got?
yep, I got my back to backs. I've got them ready. So with my first pick here, I'm gonna go with at first base. I'm gonna go Miguel Cabrera of the
Miggy.
Florida Marlins,
That was good.
Crossing
and
him off
the
my list.
Detroit Tigers.
That was
Um,
that was my save pick for DH. So I'm a little hurt right now.
honestly, I think by the time they're done, I think you could probably put him and Pujols in that same category together as being like, top 25 talents all time, and probably one of the best, some of the best two best first basemen ever by the time they're done with it. And who could ever forget whenever Miggy won the Triple Crown? That season was just unreal from him. So I had to put him in my lineup. And then my next pick, I'm actually gonna go at shortstop, and I'm gonna go ahead and pick up Cal Ripken Jr., a guy that you could just count on to be there more than anybody else in the entire league, man. And obviously a guy that's a hell of a player too to go along with it.
One of you guys has a cool story about Cal Ripken Jr., don't you?
That's
Cobb,
me,
yeah.
actually. Yeah, I had to pick
Yeah.
him up, actually. Yeah, let me share this story, okay?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, the story's been told to me. I mean, obviously, I feel like I kind of have like slight memories of it, but I was a little kid, because when did he retire? 2001. So I was 4 years old, and so his last trip to KC, because whenever he was going to retire, it was all like like Cal's last time in KC. It was all like hyped, and the all the stadiums were selling out and stuff because he was such a beloved guy, around the league. And so we went to the KC one, and they were playing against the Royals, obviously. And like, was it in between innings, Caleb, that every time, like in between innings, he would like go sign autographs, or when
So
was
we
that?
what I remember is we went to 2 days of the series, I think, two
Yeah.
or maybe the whole series. And by that time he was well beyond the record, obviously, and wasn't playing every day anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So the second day he wasn't playing, I believe. And he
Yeah.
was signing autographs. Again, from what I remember, plus being told the story multiple times, he basically signed up until the point that like the umpires told him he had to get off the field because they were trying to start the game. Because
Yeah.
for those people who don't know, like Cal Ripken Jr. is known as being one of the most generous players of all time. Like he signed for basically everybody. So it was the day where he was signing because he just trying to sign as many autographs as possible before the game, basically.
Yeah. And so we're going down there, and we're little kids, and like we had some little like Orioles hats on, and we would always write like our favorite player from that team's number under the bill. So I had wrote Cal Ripken Jr.'s number underneath there, all that good stuff. And I do kind of faintly like remember this, like there with my parents, and like obviously there's a huge rush of people all trying to get down to like the border, and trying to get these autographs, and he's standing there like signing for everybody. And my parents are trying to get an autograph, and I think they kind of lose me in the shuffle trying to like get a hold of Cal, and and all of a sudden, next thing I know, I'm like getting smashed by like some grown men and stuff, and I'm a little ass kid, and so I start crying. I think is what happened, and so Kaleb Jr. sees me crying, he like picks me up and like sets me on the dugout or on the railing wherever he was signing, picks me up and sets me there, and like is talking to me, I guess, and is like takes my hat and he's like, "Oh, I like your hat." Like looks at it. He's like, I see it's got you like got my number on there. You mind if I write my name? So like he signed my like the bill of my hat and stuff like that. I still have it in like a baggie back home and stuff. So I mean, it's pretty sick. Like who can say, a Hall of Famer picked them up whenever they were a kid? Not many people. So that's my Cal Ripken Jr. story. And then years later we got to watch him get inducted into the Hall of Fame, which was awesome as well. Him and Tony Gwynn, rest in peace. That was also another insane experience. So I had to pick him up here.
Right. And let's like take some time. I know we're way off topic with the draft, but the Hall of Fame experience was unbelievable as well. So those were, I mean, Tony Gwynn and Cal Ripken Jr., two very influential players for Cobb and I, but also like my dad and my mom loved Cal Ripken Jr. Our aunt like was obsessed with Cal Ripken Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And so we go to the first time any of us had ever been to Cooperstown, where again, Grant Geppert reigns Cooperstown, home run derby champ. But
yeah, we forgot about that.
Yeah.
Resume.
Yeah. But so we go to Cooperstown and we're there for the first time, and we get tickets to, it's like a smaller event. So obviously at that time, Cal Ripken Jr. and Tony Gwynn had the highest attendance for any Hall of Fame induction of all time. But then we somehow get tickets to another event, which is an interview session with them. It's a lot smaller, and they're going through the crowd at the beginning, picking people to ask interview questions, right? And they come over to our row, and they're like, "Does anybody have a question for him?" And I was like, "I do." So like me and Cobb got to go up to the front during this interview, and
I just stood there because I was so scared,
it aired on ESPN Classic, I think, or something like that, and we got to ask Cal Ripken Jr. and Tony Gwynn a question at their interview for the Hall of Fame weekend. It was sweet, man.
I remember
That's
what you
amazing.
asked. Do you remember what you asked?
Yeah, so I asked what it was like for them to see their plaques hanging in the Hall of Fame for the first time. And the crazy thing is, both of them said they hadn't seen it yet. They were like, "We saw him when we held them at like induction, but we haven't gone to the hall yet to see him." So it's crazy.
Yeah. So they both had no answer for you. So
Right.
It was a really good question, I guess, or a really bad one, depending on which way you look at it.
So I guess we can get back to the draft now then. Grant, if you want to take off from there.
All right. I've got two guys I'm trying to decide between, and I'm actually going to fill my catcher spot. I cannot let you guys have this guy. Best hitting catcher of all time, most home runs among catchers, Mike Piazza.
Mike Piazza. Okay. The young Mike Pizza, as some would say. Now, I'm really glad that it's made it this far, because I got scared when his name got mentioned a few minutes ago. So playing first base for me from the Cincinnati Reds is Pete Rose. All right. Best hitter possibly of all time. Obviously the leading hits guy of all time. Yeah. But also belongs in the Hall of Fame. If you want to argue with me, please at me. Don't at me. Please at me if you want to argue that. That man belongs in the Hall of Fame. Give me Pete Rose. He'll play first base for me, as he did a little later in his career. Taking a guy like that and putting him at first base, which I know can be a bit suspect because first base is generally a power spot. But if you can get the leader all time in hits there, I think we'll live with that.
I think
he's the only player to be an all-star at 5 different positions also. I think that's really cool.
Right. We get some guys hurt, he can play everywhere. So
yeah.
My next pick, another controversial figure in Major League Baseball history. If you watch the movies, you know a little bit about him. Give me my left fielder, representing the Chicago Black Sox, as some would say, Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Shoeless
Wow.
Joe. Okay.
Going
I
way
didn't
back
expect
with
to hear
that
his,
one.
I didn't expect hear his name ever get called in this.
Hey, you give me a 356 batting average and you can play on my team anytime.
Any day, huh?
Do you
Yes,
think
sir.
he belongs in the Hall of Fame?
Yes,
He did accept money.
he did. But you know what? There's been a lot shadier stuff happen than that. And
100% agree.
you look at the stats from that World Series and like I know the word is that essentially he was too dumb to actually understand what happened. And I know he accepted money, but his stats were phenomenal in the series. So it's hard to believe that either he didn't know what was going on, which I guess it might be hard to believe that, or he just got tired of throwing the games and decided he wanted to win instead. But clearly there was some bad stuff happening, but I think enough times passed that you can put him in there.
I think it's one of those like tragedies, honestly, that you hear about sometimes where someone comes from an absolute poverty, like terrible situation, dude's illiterate, like can't read or write. And then he kind of gets like told these things, oh, you can get some money by like, doing this and that. Doesn't even really understand the situation. But if anybody's going to give him money, probably like from where he came from, they probably told him, hey, if you're going to, someone's going to give you money, you take it,
That's like the
So-
college athletes who they're like mad when they take money from boosters and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
how are you going to be mad at somebody who had no money and took money? Like, that's just
Yeah.
common sense.
I agree.
But you got another pick, right? Or wait, no, you already did both
I
picks.
took both of
Who's
them.
that?
It's Grant's turn.
Who was
now.
your pick? Who was your other one again? Because I've been making my
Pete,
list here.
Pete,
You
Pete
took
Rose and
Pete,
Shoeless Joe
okay.
Jackson.
Pete, okay.
Okay, so it's my pick here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let me look at my list. Has Ken Griffey Jr. been picked?
Oh, yeah, he has. You guys made fun of
He
me for
has?
picking him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang, that's right. I forgot to cross him off my list here. Okay. And Pete Rose can come off my list. I'm going to fill the third baseman slot right here. And I don't think you guys know who it's going to be. This guy was more productive in his 30s than he was in his 20s. He is the LeBron James and Michael Jordan of baseball. Age is like fine wine. I'm going with Adrian Beltre at
I
third
knew you were
base.
going to say that. Yep.
That is a beauty.
It is a beauty. I
pick.
knew he would be slept on because he got better with age and kind of I think he truly became a Hall of Fame player in his 30s rather than early in his career.
I agree.
And another guy that's incredibly fun to watch too.
Super funny guy.
Like, watching him swing as hard as he absolutely could on every at bat was like one of the best things ever. Going to one knee and hitting bombs. That was
Iconic.
sick.
Yep.
Iconic, literally. Well, you kind of took who I wanted to pick at third base, but I'm gonna throw you guys a little curveball here. Quite literally, I'm gonna take two pitchers, I think, with my next two picks because I want these pitchers. So I'm gonna pick them up right now. And so first pick at starting pitcher, because I don't know if we mentioned we're gonna take three starters and we're gonna take one closer, as well as taking our regular lineup and then a DH. But for my first starter, I am taking the big unit, Randy Johnson.
Love it.
Quite arguably the greatest pitcher ever. Just a dominant force. How many Cy Youngs did he win? Like 3 or 4, I think, Cy Youngs. Just an absolute imposing force on the mound. Scary man. Scary man.
Crossing him off the list.
Right.
And then with my next pick, I'm going to take someone kind of opposite of him. I'm going to take Greg Maddux, maybe the best pinpoint pitcher ever in the game. So
that hurts me.
I
That
think
hurt
my
me a
starting
lot right
rotation
there.
is
That hurt me a
possibly one of the best you can have. Just with those two guys alone, you can throw anybody else in the third slot and be good.
That hurts. I needed one of those. Grant,
Yeah, those are
you're
my
up
two
next,
picks.
man. Who you got?
I think I'm going to stick with the pitcher trend here. And it kind of sucks that I can only pick one because there's a couple on here that I'm really trying to decide between. But it's going to come down to the numbers for me. And I'm going Roger Clemens, 7 Cy Young Awards.
That was going to be my next pick if nobody picked him up, but that's a great pick.
All right. I think with the fact that they're all going pretty quick here, I'm going to have to take a couple pitchers. So for me, we're going to go back to back as well. We're going to go a little different, though. We're going to go starting pitcher. We're going to go with Bob Gibson. Okay. Bob Gibson at starter.
Great one.
And then I gotta make a decision if I go with my closer here or if I pick another starter. And I think as much as I want to take a certain starting pitcher because I don't think he makes it through another round for me, I think it's very important to me that I get this closer, greatest closer of all time, without a doubt, from the Yankees. Give me Mariano Rivera. I need him on my squad.
Well, your pitching staff has just got a big boost.
I'll give you that.
I was sweating there because I was scared you were going to pick my starter, and I know exactly who it is. And guess what, Jake? I'm sorry. I'm picking him right now. I've got Pedro.
That is exactly who I was trying to decide from.
I was waiting to see if anybody picked him up.
I was trying to decide between Pedro or Mo, and I was like, I need a guy who could throw every day for me.
Oh man, I still have second, third, and catcher to get to fill too. I got to think about those as well.
Second's tough. Very tough.
I know.
I'm gonna pick somebody. I'm gonna pick my second baseman right now, actually, because I really want him on the squad. And I'm gonna pick up Jackie Robinson. And I know he doesn't have the greatest overall stats as anybody, but he also wasn't allowed in the league until he was 28 years old. So I mean, I guess that's his prime, but still, he could have came in probably a lot sooner than that if they would have allowed, African American people of color in the league. And it's still a guy that came in, won a Rookie of the Year, won an MVP, and won a World Series in a short amount of time. So I got to go with Jackie to play second for me. And then, with my next pick, oh man, I'm going to have to go with a guy at pitcher that is just an absolute factor in any game he steps into. And I'm going to go with Nolan Ryan. Another guy that kind of got better with age, as you mentioned with Adrian Beltre, another guy that got better with age. So I'm going to go Nolan Ryan to round out my starting rotation.
Okay.
5,000 strikeouts. I mean, yeah, he's a good pick.
No doubt.
Okay. I'm actually just going to get my last starting pitcher out of the way here, and it is a guy that is currently still in the league, believe it or not. I'm taking Jacob deGrom. And that's a projection. It's just like Mike Trout. It's a projection type thing. I think deGrom is going to go down as one of the best ever.
I like that pick.
I agree with you 100% on that. I mean, if you look at what he's done so far in his career in a short amount of time, he's already won 2 Cy Youngs. He won a Rookie of the Year. I can't argue that pick at all. I can't say that he doesn't belong in the conversation with these all-time greats. The only thing that sucks about him is that, which is good about today's game, is that they're still giving him these Cy Youngs because he's been absolutely dominant. The thing that would suck is if he came up back in the day, he'd probably be frowned upon a little bit more just because his win-loss record is not that good because he doesn't get any run support.
None.
He gets zero run support.
I saw a stat. If the Mets, it was like in 2018 when he was in the MVP running, he got like second for MVP. I would argue that he should have won, but if the Mets would have scored 4 runs in each of his starts, he would have been 30-0.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
It's insane. He's putting up like Bob Gibson numbers right now, but doesn't get the recognition like hardly because he doesn't win games as much.
Crazy.
Yeah, but he has a career. What's his career ERA? 2.61. Yeah, that'll play. Give him some run support, and I guarantee his win-loss column looks a lot better.
No doubt.
He's 70 and 51 for his career with a 2.61 ERA. That's unreal.
Yep.
What you got?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take a couple I'm gonna take one pitcher here, and I'm gonna take rest in peace. I'm gonna take Roy Halladay, Doc. I want him on my staff. Dude was a gamer, throwing perfect game. I obviously he might not have the pedigree of some guys, but man, I loved watching him play. I think it's hard not to have him on there for me. And then simply for the fact that I think this is going to be funny, and I think somebody's going to get mad. I'm going to take him a little earlier than I wanted to. At designated hitter, Big Pappy. Give me David Ortiz, baby.
Oh, I'm sick to my stomach. That was.
I know Jake is sick right now.
Give me Big Pappy.
I expected you to draft him a lot higher, Jake. I'm not gonna lie.
I didn't think anybody was gonna pick him.
When he slipped this far, he didn't deserve
anybody
to
was
have
gonna
him
pick
anymore.
him.
He didn't deserve to have him anymore, so I'm taking him.
Well, here's what happened. I didn't think anybody was going to pick him because, we had decided before this that your DH can be anybody, not someone who traditionally was a DH. So to me, David Ortiz is traditionally, like, as just a DH, the best DH ever. So,
Sure.
like, if we were doing it that way, I figured he would go early, because you can't really get a bit better DH than him. But I didn't think anybody was going to pick him up. I'm hurt. You did that to me, man. Oh, that's disrespectful. But all right, Grant, who you got?
All right. I am going to knock out my center fielder right here, and I'm really glad he's still on the table. From the Oakland A's, we've got Ricky Henderson.
Who are you going to take, Coco Crisp?
Ricky? Imagine he just throws in Coco Crisp out there in center amongst all-time greats.
Yeah.
Nah.
Coco Crisp, batting knife.
Yeah, that's a good pick. That's a really good pick.
That's a great pick. That's a
obviously
solid pick.
Now you could go Ichiro, Ricky Henderson 1-2 in your lineup if you wanted to, or put one of them in ninth and you have the double leadoff type situation. That's beautiful. I like it.
Your team's going to be stealing a lot of bases with them too, and then even if you get a younger, faster Bonds, man, you guys be running wild.
Power and speed, baby. Power and speed.
But all right, so for my next pick, and then I got two in a row here. So, oh man, I was gonna pick Big Papi. I was gonna pick him, but I have something else up my sleeve. So here's what I'm gonna do. I am gonna fill out my roster here in the field, and I'm gonna pick at third base. So I was going back and forth on this because I think statistically you can probably argue Mike Schmidt's the best third baseman ever. But for me, my favorite and someone who I think, is obviously a Hall of Famer in himself, I'm going to have to go with Chipper Jones at third base.
Yes, sir.
Switch hitter. I loved watching him play as a kid, so I had to pick him up. And then the last position I have to fill is catcher. And at catcher, I am taking the greatest hitting catcher of our generation, Joe Mauer, at catcher.
Very solid pick.
Because you took David Ortiz. So you did this to yourself. So I'm taking your favorite player as a child besides A-Rod.
That was
because you did it to yourself.
I was saving him to be my last pick because nobody was going to pick him. So that's super foul that you just did that. You knew literally that was a pick out of spite. You didn't even want Joe Mauer on your team. That was out of spite.
I could have picked up. Who did Grant get? Piazza. I could have picked up Johnny Bench. I could have picked up.
You did that.
Pudge.
You did that.
I could have picked up Joe Torre. I could have picked up Gary Carter. I could have picked up Ted
Yogi
Simmons,
Berra.
No. I could have picked Yogi Berra. Nope.
You picked the guy I wanted to take.
Because of you.
That's so foul, bro. That's so disrespectful.
Grant, your turn, man. Who you got?
All right. Ooh, it's I'm really back and forth between who I want to pick for shortstop, but I gotta just go with my gut right here. I'm gonna pick the captain, Derek Jeter, at shortstop.
Good pick. Good pick.
Great pick. Whenever I made my list, I had Cal as my number one guy I wanted. I had A-Rod second, but I knew Caleb would probably pick him like first pick, so I knew I probably wasn't going to get him. And so I kind of had Cal as my guy I was eyeing. And then after that, I had Jeter, and then I had Ozzie, because Ozzie, I mean, I know I'm a Cardinals fan, so I'm a little biased, but he is the best defensive shortstop ever. So
facts.
I had him in there,
And
for
Mark,
that fact alone.
don't start coming at us talking about Omar Vizquel either. It's not the same.
And I think Ozzy has more Gold Gloves than Vizquel, if I'm not mistaken.
Ozzie Smith has the best defensive WAR of all time.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yep.
Watching that, let me throw this in there. If you haven't seen that, like Birds of Prey documentary, I think it's called, about like the 70s Cardinals or something, where they were just running and gunning around the field, the 70s, 80s or something like that. It's on MLB Network. Man, that's a good one if you guys haven't watched it yet. It was awesome watching them and like the way they played and how hard they played. Like, I wish baseball was still played like that. They stole so many bases and they flew around the base paths. Now everybody just wants the home run trot. But that's a story for a different day.
Such a lost art.
And we're getting down to the end here. This is a little crazy. So basically, what, 3 more rounds left or 2 more rounds left?
I've got two guys left.
You got to make your pick, right, Caleb?
Yeah, I got 2 picks coming up here.
Yeah, so you still got to make yours.
So I'm gonna go with another starting pitcher, a guy who's currently in the league, and I don't want to hear the talk about his postseason records and how he craps the bed every time he gets into a postseason game.
I'm already writing his name down.
This dude is one of the
name down.
This dude is one of the best pitchers of all time. Give me Clayton Kershaw. I want that dude on the bump for me every 5th day. Maybe not when it comes postseason time, but during the season, I want him on the bump for me every 5th day.
I think he proved people wrong this year, though.
Stop it,
I think he proved some people wrong this year, though. You got to admit that.
I agree.
2020 was a shortened season, so there's an asterisk by that for me. Just saying, Caleb.
Oh, here we go with some nonsense.
I'm just teasing.
Here we go with some nonsense. And he used pop catchphrase too. He said, "I'm just saying."
I'm just saying. That is Dad's catchphrase. Grant, on to you, my man. Who you got?
All right. I guess I gotta go with my second baseman. This is the toughest one. But I think there's one second baseman who has more home runs than this guy, and that's Jeff Kent, who has the most home runs as a second baseman.
Dang
but
it!
I can't have Jeff Kent and Barry Bonds on the same team because they didn't get along well at all on the Giants. So I'm picking him, Robinson Cano.
Sweet swinging, Robbie Cano. That's a good pick.
I'm just gonna say this. I mean, I picked Jackie, but it's gonna be a real tragedy if Joe Morgan doesn't get taken in this draft.
I can promise you right now, my second baseman is not filled, and Joe Morgan is not my second baseman. So Joe Morgan's not getting taken.
Oof.
Joe Morgan's not even on my list.
Wow.
I don't like hearing that.
That feels like
TV games anyway.
Can we have some respect here, please?
Bro, I'm pretty sure I got skipped on a pick anyway.
I don't think you did, dude.
Yeah, I was supposed to take 2 picks. I got Clayton Kershaw, and that was it.
Oh, you didn't pick your second pick?
No, but it's all right. It's all right. I'm gonna take
right now.
I'm gonna take a second baseman. All right. Because I needed a second baseman with some power. I was picking between 2 people, and Grant made my decision for me, so I appreciate that. Because it was either Robbie Cano or the guy I'm taking, and that's Rogers Hornsby. Give me a Cardinal on the squad. Hit over 300 home runs. I'm taking that and rocking with him.
All right, my fault. I didn't mean to skip you there. But I guess it's back to me then, even though we went a little bit out of order right there. Back to me, and so the 2 spots I have remaining to fill for my last pick in this round, and then obviously the first pick in the last round for my reliever. The only reliever off the board right now is Mo, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So I am going to go with Trevor Hoffman as my closer. Another guy that got things done. Another guy from my childhood that I love to watch play. And then for my DH position, so I'm going back and forth. Like, there's some great players still out here that I could pick to play DH, right? But part of me wants to take a traditional DH and take a guy that I loved growing up. So I'm on the fence here. But I think I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go with the big hurt Frank Thomas at DH, a traditional DH that I absolutely loved watching play growing up. I'm gonna take Frank Thomas from the Chicago White Sox. Had to
I
go with
like
big
it.
hurt.
I like it. You still got a big hurt jersey, don't you?
Yeah, I still got the big hurt jersey, man. At
That
35.
dude swung with all arms and hit bombs. No legs, all arms.
Straight nukes.
Uh-huh. All right, so I guess I got my last pick here, and it's closing pitcher, and I am deciding, do I go with the cool mustache or do I go with the cool Fu Manchu type deal here? One of them's more intimidating. From the Oakland A's, I am picking Dennis Eckersley.
Okay.
Okay. I thought whenever you said Fu Manchu, you were gonna go with Goose.
Me too.
Nope.
Goose Gossage. That's who I thought you were talking about. But Eckersley's a
He's
great
a
pick,
little
though.
bit more straight intimidation and just throws hard. I think Eck is a little more polished. He's got that nice sidearm,
that angle, yeah.
slider action. Yeah.
That arm angle is deadly.
So last pick of the draft here. I'm surprised he's lasted this long. I'm a little disappointed that he's on my team, if we're being completely honest, because I wanted it to be Joe Mauer, but Cobb, in a very disrespectful way, took him. Also, as a shout out to Dad, because Dad told me earlier today he couldn't join us like he was originally planning on to do the draft, but he told me this was going to be his catcher. So representing the Cincinnati Reds, Johnny Bench as the last pick.
I knew it. Dad loves that guy, man. I was gonna pick him, but you took David Ortiz. So I mean, I had to just take Mauer so you couldn't get him. So now that we've got the teams situated, we got them picked. Although we did pick a couple great ones in here that we were just thinking about. We're gonna go ahead and put our teams in the batting order that we would hit them in, and then also pick our opening day starter. So Grant, let's hear what you got for your squad. Let's hear how your lineup shakes up, and let's hear who you got coming out opening day to start it.
Opening day. All right. My starting lineup. In right field, batting first, we have Ichiro Suzuki. Batting second, playing center field, we have Ricky Henderson. Batting third, playing left field, we have Barry Bonds. Batting fourth in the DH slot is Manny Ramirez. Batting fifth at first base, we have Albert Pujols. Batting sixth at third base, we have Adrian Beltre. Batting seventh at catcher, we have Mike Piazza. Batting eighth at second base, we have Robinson Cano. And turning the lineup around in the 9 slots at shortstop, I have Derek Jeter. And my opening day starter, Roger Clemens.
Ooh-wee.
Hearing that back now, I don't know. My team might have some comp now that I'm hearing your lineup back. You got some speed up top, and you got some big bats. Oh my goodness! But Caleb, what's your opening day lineup look like?
Opening day lineup, leading off, playing right field, Tony Gwynn. Batting second at first base, Pete Rose. Batting third, playing shortstop, Alex Rodriguez. In the 4 spot, designated hitter, David Ortiz. Batting fifth, playing center field, is the kid, Ken Griffey Jr. Batting sixth at catcher, Johnny Bench. Batting seventh, playing second base, Rogers Hornsby. Batting eighth, playing third base is George Brett. And our second leadoff man, batting ninth and playing left field, Shoeless Joe Jackson. And on the bump, one of the most intimidating pitchers of all time, representing the St. Louis Cardinals, Bob Gibson.
Not bad.
I really like that A-Rod, Ortiz, Griffey. What is that, 3, 4, 5?
Yes, sir.
I wouldn't want to throw that.
Right. And you get a couple guys turned around. You get righty, lefty. So I mean, there's not really good, especially if we go with today's roster with the 3-batter minimum. Who are you gonna throw in there? There's not a good option.
Yeah, I can't lie. I was looking at my lineup and I realized I have a huge need for some lefty bats. I wasn't really thinking of it when I was picking, but I mean, I don't think any of these guys were that bad righty on righty. So let me go ahead and go through my lineup. So leading off, playing right field, I've got Willie Mays, not Willie Mays Hayes, but the Willie Mays. And then batting second, playing center field, I've got Mike Trout. Batting third, playing first base, I have Miguel Cabrera. Batting fourth, playing left field, I've got Hammer and Hank Aaron. Batting fifth, starting at the DH spot, I've got Frank Thomas. Batting sixth, starting at catcher, I've got Joe Mauer. Batting seventh, starting at third, I got Chipper. And eighth, I got Cal playing shortstop. And then at ninth, I went with also like a second leadoff guy, and I got Jackie Robinson batting ninth and playing second base to round out the lineup. And then on opening day, we're going to toss Randy Johnson out there on the bump. The big unit, you can't go wrong with him to start the season off right.
I mean, I don't think anybody wants to see Randy Johnson on opening day. You're trying to get into the swing of things a bit, and just a massive man with a flowing mullet thing is on the bump. I don't like it.
Yeah, opening day, and you're facing a guy who's throwing from the first base pretty much.
Right. I don't want to see
100
that
plus
at all.
from first base with a little bit of control issues, so he might beat you.
Oh yeah, it'll keep you on your toes.
I don't. So how are we gonna do this? We gotta have some way to settle it, whether it's a fan vote or something. We gotta find a way to have this settled. I know you said I'll do an edit, so I'll put our lineups together.
Yeah.
And I think it has to be a fan vote, right? And before
I say you put the lineups together and we put it on we'll put it on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We'll put it on everything, and I'll take all the votes into account at the end of it, and we'll decide who wins it all. We'll report back on the next episode.
And I think
who's got the best all-time team.
Before we get roasted, I think it's important that we mention those who didn't get picked. Shout out Mickey Mantle. Shout out Babe Ruth. Shout out who else needs to go on there?
Stan the Man.
Yeah,
usual.
shout out Stan the Man.
Yeah.
Before y'all Boomer Cardinals fans come at us, to be honest, we wanted to pick some. We wanted to pick some people that we would like to see play baseball. So
did we mention him?
Yeah, Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth didn't get picked. Some of the all-time great pitchers like Walter Johnson, who supposedly was the hardest thrower ever. But if you look at his old tapes, he didn't even bend his knee when he threw a baseball. So he probably was throwing it in there about 80. So
have you guys seen that fastball documentary?
No, I haven't. It's pretty good.
Dude, you guys got to watch that. It's freaking awesome, yeah.
I'll watch it.
Check it out.
I love docs.
Same. I'm a big sports documentary guy. But we'll let the people decide who has the best team. But we all know it's going to be me. You want to wager something on this for the pick 'em? Nah. Or no?
No, this will just be for fun.
Nah, not this. Yeah, this isn't really a pick 'em. This is just for fun. But
this is more excitement that opening day is about to happen.
Opening day baseball starts today. One more thing before we leave. Who do you guys got winning it all this year? I'm going to start off with my pick to win it all. The Dodgers are going to go back to back. To me, they had the best lineup in baseball possibly last year, bringing basically all those guys back. And then now you add Trevor Bauer to an already stacked rotation. I just think the Dodgers are going back to back. Grant, who do you think is going to win it all this year?
As much as I want to think that the Cardinals are going to win, which is a real possibility, I think they're a top 10 team this year. I am going to project the Atlanta Braves are going to win the World Series this year. I think they have a very slept-on pitching staff, and look at their lineup. You got Ozuna, you got Acuna, you got Albies, you got Freeman, you've got Swanson doing his thing. I think they're just a very slept-on club. Their lineup is stacked.
Facts. I agree with that.
I don't need y'all's negativity in here, right? I'm riding with my dogs, so I'm picking the Cardinals. I'd rather be wrong and have them not make the playoffs than pick somebody else on national podcasting radio and then watch the Cardinals go win the ship and look foolish. So I'm riding with my dogs out here.
No, obviously I want the Cardinals to win. Obviously. I mean,
obviously
I would love for them to win it all, man.
We're literally all wearing Cardinals stuff. Yeah,
you see what we're all wearing right now. We're all pulling for the Cardinals. And honestly, can I actually shout out, because he takes a lot of slack. The Cardinals GM, John Mozeliak, takes a lot of slack, but I got to give him his props on this one, because he finally went and got a relevant, in his prime, just absolute demon in Nolan Arenado. And I was so excited when I said that brought me more excitement, I think, than any Cardinals game in the past, since they won the World Series, probably for me, just seeing that they signed him and that we got another guy like that. I think him and Goldie maybe gives us possibly the best defensive corners in the MLB, and both of them, obviously, we know what they can do with the bat. So Cardinals do have a real shot at it. I think it all comes down to how those other guys can kind of play, how Dylan Carlson shapes up this year. We'll see. In our pitching, obviously, especially our relievers, are always a question mark.
I don't know how it was for you guys, but for me personally, the feeling when we got Arenado, it was on a different level, obviously, because Arenado's he's a superstar. But it was a similar feeling in oh wow, somebody I'm really excited about is coming to the Cardinals. First time since we got Matt Holliday, it was the last time I remembered an outside player coming in that I was excited about in that regard.
I remember that day too.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys felt about that, but for me that was a similar feeling, obviously for a higher level, I think, but similar for that.
Facts. I think when Goldschmidt and Miller got signed, I was excited, but I wasn't a fan really of either one of them. But with Arenado, I love Arenado. I love the way he plays and just defensively how good he is, because that's part of me and Grant have this conversation a lot. Honestly, it seems like baseball is going more and more to where all anybody cares about is just freaking hitting home runs. They don't give a shit about being a great defender. They don't give a shit about putting the ball in play even. They're just strike out and hit home runs. And so it's nice to see a guy who has a great glove. I mean, he is kind of a home run guy, probably swinging for the fences a lot, but it's nice to see a great glove coming in. I think it makes our defense just that much stronger, even though we're losing Wong, who's a Gold Glove second baseman. But I think with him coming in, I mean, our infield's going to be looking incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree. I think Arenado is going down. He's going to go down as one of the best defensive third basemen ever. You should go on YouTube and look up just, some of his most outstanding plays. I've never seen any third baseman consistently glove balls down the line and just launch it over to first base the way that he does, as consistently as he does. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and I mean, as a former defensive specialist third baseman myself, I just absolutely love to see guys in the field who know how to play the position well and who can do a lot of stuff over in the hot corner. So I absolutely love it.
But I think that's all we got for you. So I think that's going to do it for me and defensive specialist right here, Kaleb Lawrence, and former state champ, currently one of the best guys I know, Grant Geppert. Thank you for coming on the pod, man. It's been a pleasure having you on. This was a lot of fun. Maybe we can do it again sometime.
Thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks a ton, bro.
We're out.
See you.
Peace.
Peace, guys.